You're listening to Wicked Thoughts, a podcast by Flair Castro. This show helps founders and professionals understand business trends, social media, digital lifestyle, and how to be a better entrepreneur. For season 4, we cover topics powered by a dash of social. Let's start learning in 3, 2, 1.
So, welcome everyone to Wicked Thoughts. This is our season 4, and we're going to be talking about Dash of Social. So, I have social media experts for these next few episodes, for Dash of Social. And right now, I have here a good friend, si Mr. Tonyo Cruz. Yan. Hi, Tonyo.
Hi, Flair.
Hello.
Kamusta? Kamusta?
Ayan. All good, all good. So Tonyo here, guys, if you don't know him, poor you. I'm kidding. So Tonyo is a social media strategist. He is a community organizer. He is an advocate, blogger, and opinion columnist. So if you want to check out his work, he is in Manila Bulletin. And on Twitter, he is at Tonyo Cruz. And he is currently very active on Clubhouse. He hosts a lot of rooms there. And if you want to make chica with him, you can always go to Clubhouse. So ayan, welcome Tonyo.
Thank you, Flair. Thank you for the invitation. I cannot say no.
parang ano, coercion. I can't say no
No, I
talaga.
cannot say no to my friends, to long-standing friends, syempre. It's
Oh,
a sign of
diba?
respect for you.
Ayan. My pleasure. And it's my honor to have you here. So let's spend this time to make chica about social media because I love geeking out about this favorite platform of ours ever since the start, diba? I think this is also where we met each other. It's all of the advocacies that we have been involved in. And Tonyo ha, itong pinaka one thing that I really remember you for, and I really appreciate your help about it, is when we had a calamity sa hometown ko, sa Iligan City. And then I did a call to action to help through the One for Iligan campaign namin sa Iligan bloggers. You were the one na first of those who responded to the call sa donations for One for Iligan. You helped spread the word. You help us reach out to other influencers as well, and that you know uh the One for Legan campaign came into life because of your help. So I really appreciate it, and I'd like to take this time to thank you. Ayun.
No, actually, it was just, we found it that it was an obligation on our part for your friends, for example, in Manila,
Mm-mm.
to help our friends who are in need at that time. So, uh, it was an advantage that we knew you, we could vouch for you that this is the real deal. If you want to help Iligan amidst that calamity,
Yep.
we would prefer that you help one Iligan. It's actually it's a tiny effort on our part. But all the heavy lifting was done by your group. So it's
Exactly. Mm.
it's all for our community to leverage our network so that we could bridge, for example, people who would like to help with people who are coordinating relief and assistance to those who are in need. And it is always a pleasure to do that. And it's a privilege considering that only only a few would like to do that.
That's
I'd,
true.
I'd like to believe that it takes a little bit of daring to do that, get out of our
Mm-mm.
comfort zone, and
Mm-mm.
do something for the good of our community.
True. And
That's all for all credit should go to the people of Iligan for helping themselves, and all we did was to pitch in by promoting that good cause.
that's wonderful. And actually, to note, it's the 10th anniversary of that campaign by December. That was 10 years ago, Tonyo. So long ago, diba? But we're still here. We're still building our personal advocacies. Maybe you have new things going on. And I'd like to start also with, social media when we started it. For me, it started as a business idea. Now, I've already started offering social media services for businesses abroad. Why not bring it here in Cebu? And that's how I started with my agency. So I want to know your story. How about you? How did you get started with using social media?
I started because of a friend. I'm not sure if you know him, Edric Eder,
Mm,
one of the bloggers in Manila.
no,
He
no.
he started blogging in Tagalog, Filipino,
Mm,
and he told me, okay, told me why not try blogging. So there were newer platforms at that time. So
mm,
I have a lot to say. I have a lot of ideas that I would like to share. So I started with a blog. I
mm,
think it was a easy journal or something. Um, and then I moved on to blogger.com, blogspot.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
And
That's where I
then,
started in.
yes, and then I went to own my own domain.
Mm,
Um, so it all started with blogging with the idea that, oh, I could self-publish. I could
mm,
publish a thing online easily from the comfort of my home and then be a blogger. So it all started there. And then one by one, uh, the businesses started noticing,
mhm.
um, and while at the same time, the community in Manila and other places in the country was growing, and
Mm,
there's an interest among businesses regarding social media and digital. So by 2010, around 2010, 2011,
mm.
um, by that time there were already businesses that were recruiting bloggers to be their digital
Right.
ambassadors.
Mm,
We had the first social media strategists, the first social media and community managers. I remember it was Globe and other brands who recruited some of our good friends.
mm,
And then at that time, I have friends in an advertising agency,
mm,
TBWA, some SMP, and they invited me to be a consultant, a digital consultant.
Wow, big
So
names, huh?
it was I was surprised, but I also knew that there's that opportunity. Only a few of us knew about that new platform, about that new space that was growing out of blogging, out of the
Mm,
first social media networks. So that advertising company wanted to get first dibs at what was happening.
right.
So I became a digital consultant there, and later um, took on other positions.
Oh.
So I began with blogging, and then I went into advertising to try to inform and teach, and at the same time learn about advertising. So I
Mm,
started about what at the same time actually as most of us.
mm. Pero 'di ba, usually when you start with agencies, okay, you started offering your services, you became a consultant, but did you even like imagine yourself that you would become the influencer that these brands are looking for? Like there is a parang difference, 'di ba, when you work with brands as a, you know, employee, consultant, and then there's this other side where ikaw yung influencer. And I think you
Yes,
are like parang merger of this. Would you agree?
I think the first generation of bloggers,
Mm,
uh, those who started blogging in the 2000s, in mid
mm,
2000s until the early 2010s, uh, they had this unique position as the as those who the early adopters, and we
mm,
had that vantage point of where this started and where it could be going, and we had communities. Uh, konti pa lang ang bloggers nun, relatively.
mm,
And it was the bloggers who opened this entire digital marketing industry.
Mm. You still
Like
remember
practically
sino yung
opened it.
mga sino may mga kabatch mo that time, mga other bloggers?
Now,
You
siguro
still remember? Mm.
the best reference would be the Philippine Blog Awards, because our
Ah.
community
Mm, mm.
actually made an effort to recognize who are the best in particular categories. And if you would
Mhm.
check the roster of the awardees, it's
Tama.
like most of the people who we consider the best ended up either starting their own digital marketing companies,
Right.
or became influencers, uh, took on other platforms. See, uh, most of us started uh, in blogging,
Mm.
text, oftentimes pure text, and then uh, in came the photos, next came the photos, and then the
Mm.
videos. And
Right.
then, ayun, later the bloggers gave way to influencers. The bloggers became influencers
Became
also.
the influencers. Mm.
But at that time, the situation was so different. We were evangelizing about social media and digital. I'm sure
Mm.
you would remember that it was quite difficult to convince government agencies and
True.
officials, business
Yes.
owners, and other stakeholders in our communities to take a good look at digital. So
Totoo.
it was like we wanted to pursue this passion. At the same time, we saw the potential of these platforms, of this new landscape for products, for
Mhm.
services, and 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 it was a sweet time, a sweet spot in the history of digital and digital marketing, that uh, those of us who who accepted invitations
Mm.
to join companies uh, ended up laying down the first rules. So, for
Yeah, yeah.
example,
The OGs, 'di ba? You were
the
part of the OGs
the
talaga.
idea of influencers
Mm.
most probably also came from the bloggers who were the first to enter the space, the intersection of blogging and digital marketing.
Mm.
Uh, of course, the other players there, those in tech, those who
Mhm.
are in UI and UX, those who are the coders, uh, we assembled somewhere, sometime, and ayun, the efforts ended up in either being employed by
Mm.
advertising agencies, or digital agencies came to be.
Mm.
Um, so it was a very fun time, and
Mm.
we were evangelizing about digital and blogging. We wanted all of the companies and all of the agencies to go
Mm.
online,
Right,
because
right.
the spaces are the space the spaces are there, the platforms are there. We could make we could give uh, better services, perhaps, or deliver them in a better way. uh,
Mhm.
so that was so different at the time. Digital
Mm.
was like uh, a nice to have,
Right. And nice to
before,
have.
nice to have,
Mm.
and then later it became a must have,
Mhm.
especially now. So at that time, we cannot blame. We also cannot blame the agencies and the companies and even the news outlets, because um, internet access was still rather limited
Mm.
to a certain percentage of the population. But as internet usage grew, it became moot. The question of going digital became moot.
Mhm.
Everybody has to be a digital. So, for
Yeah.
example, it's really different. It's really difficult and impossible to compare 2021, for example, 2011. The
Mm.
situation is so different at that time. Uh, I'm sure you remember we were always campaigning for improved services and at the same time to expand the coverage of the networks, whether
Oh, I
for
remember that.
wired or wireless.
Mm-mm.
But today, the question is no longer the expansion of their reach, but to improve the service. Uh,
Mm-mm.
so that I think we have so many experiences already as communities and as colleagues, and
Mm.
this is a good time to look back. Uh,
Yes, it is. That was 10 years ago, Tonyo. And I
yes,
agree
yes.
with you. It's things have changed a lot. And when you said like social media was a nice to have compared to now where it's a must have, do you think we have achieved that goal, that vision natin na dapat every business, every organization must be empowered to leverage social media as a way to, reach out to their communities? Do you think you know, um, we have achieved that, our goal?
I frankly I think it's for our friends in industry to answer that question.
Mm.
And there's still uh, a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
I'm sure if you take a look at government websites, even
Oh
private sector
gosh.
websites,
Yes.
there's a whole lot of improvements needed.
Mm.
Uh,
Agree.
Today, we have this term, user experience, user
Mm.
interface.
Mm.
Those terms didn't exist 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Oo.
Because there's a new need today about digital, all things digital. So there's a new need and a new jobs also. Uh, a lot of jobs arising out of the digital space. So
Mm.
it's a continuing challenge for practitioners in all parts of digital to make things a lot better. Uh,
Mm.
whether it's for applying for passports, for getting services from private companies, delivery,
Moving your SIM card.
transportation. So I'm sure there's still a lot of work to do,
Mm.
and uh, digi- uh how do we say this? Um, many the pandemic has forced a lot of sectors, business and government, to take digital seriously.
Oh, of which they should.
Yes,
Definitely.
so
Mm.
uh, and end users uh, also expect a lot from both government and businesses. And
Mm.
and if you're an entrepreneur, I'm sure they would see many opportunities for improvement. For example, if you talk about B2B, there are many service providers, and at the
Right.
same time, there are
Mm.
many entrepreneurs who would like to go full on digital.
Mm.
There are many points of convergence, and their interests intersect. So, for example, uh, payment outlets or payment services, they
Mm.
should be a whole lot better by this time, so
Mm.
that entrepreneurs who wish to sell make a sale wherever they need should be able
Right.
to get that business or to get that part of the business that's available from the payment gateways.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
for example, if we have entrepreneurs in the province, in cities outside of Manila
Mm.
or the other major cities, and they need a payment gateway, we hope that it would be easy for them to get that service. Because without a payment gateway, it would be difficult for them to join the
Yeah.
marketplace,
To transact. Exactly.
transact. So I'm sure there are many opportunities, and it's up for many supposedly enablers of businesses to interact with entrepreneurs. I'm I'm I'm
Mm-mm.
I'm, I'm actually excited with our SMEs, with our
Mm.
small and medium enterprises, because they're raring to go back to normal
Mm-mm.
given the 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 disastrous effects of the pandemic. They are always on the lookout for opportunities. Of course, they would need all the help that they could get. And
Right.
for example, the entire logistics industry,
Mm.
they are
Mm.
very much
Yeah.
needed. Uh, they, 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 they cannot be that far, and they cannot be that inaccessible. Digital should be able to make them accessible quickly and painlessly. For
Right.
example, if there's a malong seller in Zamboanga,
Mm-mm.
or a piaya seller in Negros, or uh, for example, those who would like to sell mangoes from Guimaras,
Yeah.
they should be able to dream, uh, to be big, to be able to sell to a nationwide market, uh, and that's where B2B services should be able to come in quite
Mm-mm.
aggressively and help them. I'm sure the SMEs are very much interested, and the enablers, the supposed enablers, should be able to roll out services without a headache to
Exactly. Mm.
to the
We should
businesses.
have choices, di ba?
Yes, yes.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And do you think it's still relevant that these businesses create communities as well? I mean, is there still value in that when at this point everyone is already a creator, right? We've been enabled, like you said, enablers. We have a lot of platforms ever since 10 years ago. We now have ano pinaka-dominant ngayon? It's TikTok, 'di ba? As a video platform. And is there still value in building community and like before when, there's something that happened, you want to call on the communities to support you or to support a cause. Is that still ongoing right now or is
I
there a
think
difference?
I think at the heart of social media and digital, there remain the three C's:
Mm,
content, conversation, and community.
mm,
In the interplay of those three things, we see the beauty of social and digital. So, for example, how uh, regardless of how good the product may be,
mm-hmm,
if you do not seek out people who are looking for that product, who are interested in that product, uh, it would be difficult to reach, to create a market.
mm-hmm,
And brands and owners should realize that the audience or the market are already aggressive in articulating themselves. They are themselves becoming content makers. They can
mm-hmm.
the business can no longer depend solely on bloggers.
Oh, I agree.
There's a whole lot of new content creators. It's really fabulous and spectacular. Their reach, their creativity, and there's no harm in reaching out to them. And
Mm-mm,
they could help their business. They could also be businessmen. They could also be businessmen. They could be pitching their uh, platforms for them to
mm-mm,
maximize. And then, of course, content. Content. Content is always important in among businesses and agencies. It could refer to their ideas, the big idea of their product, to
right,
how they
right.
pitch that product or that idea. So if those three C's uh, are there, uh, life would always be exciting, and it would be
But
good for
mm-mm,
both the brand or the business and for the public or
mm-mm.
among brands, uh, because there's always room for improvement. There's we, uh, History doesn't stop with a good product.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, there would be new products new services and new needs and new wants of among people and among agencies and businesses. So we always have to innovate and find out and listen to ideas being exchanged, to conversations. So
Mm-mm.
it's an endless cycle that we hope would always be forward looking.
Agree. And that's where I think the conversations part, Tonyo, would come in, di ba? I read one of your articles sa Manila Bulletin, and I agree. Clubhouse came into our lives at the start of this year, just February lang. And how do you think new apps like these bring value for brands? Because I know every day nandun tayo sa Clubhouse, di ba? And then we have these very organic conversations. Where do you think branding comes in with all these? I mean, for businesses, like I understand we can leverage that one as consultants, as entrepreneurs. There's that one-on-one organic conversations that's flowing, right? And then we can close deals. Maybe like after a clubhouse conversation, you reach out to the person and all that. But for those brands or businesses, how are they leveraging Clubhouse? It's a very specific example.
In the first few weeks of my joining Clubhouse, I saw CEOs of
Mm.
advertising agencies. We were very surprised and at the same time flattered that they were there and joining conversations. Of course, they are very curious about this new platform.
Right.
And there remains a lot of practitioners in digital who are there, whether artists or coders, people in UI UX. So they are curious about this platform. And it's important that they go there to see for themselves how this platform is being used to create communities and to spark
Mm.
conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in other places, Clubhouse has rolled out a way for content creators to monetize
Right.
their
Yeah. I've
activities.
seen that. Mm-mm.
Uh, but most of the action still happening in the States. Uh, in the Philippines, I think if I always hear either content producers themselves or brands and
Mm-hmm.
agencies saying that they are tired of Twitter, tired
Yeah.
of Facebook.
Facebook.
So that could
Mm-hmm.
also mean that they are looking for new platforms for engagement, for community
Mm-mm.
building. And that's where Clubhouse could come in
Mm-mm.
because uh, I'm pretty sure that they'll be surprised how things pan out on any day on
Yeah.
Clubhouse. It's quite
Mm-hmm.
different and more relaxed than usual outside of Clubhouse. And and contrary to impressions that it is a speaking app, you just
Mm-mm.
have to talk. Clubhouse is also a listening app. We have to listen because we
Oh.
wouldn't know what's being talked about.
Mm-mm.
If we don't listen, we would be a sore thumb in the room. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there would be well, the businesses should go there and discover for themselves. On top of uh, what I see is that it could be a venue, for example, for discussions,
Right.
even paid conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there could be ticketed events.
Like an alternative to Zoom.
Yes,
Then. Mm-hmm.
uh, you could hold. We don't. We no longer need to see clients, or the clients no
Oh,
longer need
please.
to see their agents or their consultants.
Oh.
They could just listen to one another in a closed room. At the same time, this clubhouse is open 24/7. Uh,
Mm-mm.
Brands and businesses could could discover what's being talked about
Mm-mm.
locally and internationally in nearby markets or faraway places. So, uh, we're still in the early stages. We've been there for like a half a year, I think.
True. Yes.
Uh,
In half a
I'm
year,
not sure.
definitely.
I'm not sure what would be what would be the prospects of Clubhouse when we begin to live a little bit normal lives. But
Mm, mm-mm.
I think the platform uh, should be useful for those who would like to form new communities outside of the usual.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Most of the platforms that we're used to, like Facebook and Twitter, there's already this fatigue,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
You can't really form communities there too. I mean, you can tweet, you can post your content, but
maybe the one selling point of Clubhouse. Clubhouse should be paying us for this.
oh, they
Uh,
should. You're there every day.
there's this. We have this. The cardinal value that we look for in conversations is authenticity. That was
Right.
what we craved for in blogging, in social
Mm-hmm.
media
Mm-hmm.
before.
I super
But
agree.
of
Yes.
course, there were many, syempre, pinasok ng payola, pinasok ng trolls, so merong manufactured na noise.
Yes.
But in Clubhouse, there's always a way to detect if we're being we're being played by any
I agree,
participant,
no?
because
That makes sense.
we could listen to them, we would remember what they're saying now, and if they change their story later, we would know that that's not what you told us 3 days ago. So
Okay.
there's
So
a way to detect BS on
right. Yung parang
Clubhouse.
intent nila, like, why are you here? What's your intent and why are you talking to us? Yeah, I actually agree.
Because
That makes sense.
we don't have that, insight from Twitter.
Mm, mm-mm,
We don't know, for example, if this branded content or if this tweet
mm-mm,
really came from this public official or from this influencer or from whoever or from a brand.
mm-mm.
It could just be from a staffer, from an
An
assistant,
intern.
from an intern. But on Clubhouse, uh, it's actually the real person supposedly that we're talking to.
I
So
agree, no?
it's sort of
Organic.
like podcasts. We
Mm-mm,
get to listen to people that we often love or admire or
mm-mm.
amazed at. So there's that.
Like, Tonyo, I'm amazed at you. I get to talk to you. My honor.
Ayun, that's it. I think it's up to the brands
Mm-mm.
to go there and see for themselves what's happening in Clubhouse. But most of the new people we manage to get into Clubhouse, they are always amazed that there's a
What's
semblance
up?
of order.
A
People get
semblance of order.
people get to talk. Uh, there are no trolls around.
Mm-mm.
Uh, if 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 there's a topic, people make an effort to stay on topic,
Mm-hmm. Agree.
and then if you don't want to participate, you could leave quietly and move on to the
Mm-mm.
next room that catches your fancy. So it's really nice.
Parang controlled toxicity in a way. Like,
Yes, but if you don't
mm-mm.
want to go to toxic rooms about topics that may be toxic, you could go to a music room.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes go
That's
to a
what I do.
lo-fi music room,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I do.
meditation rooms.
Mm-mm. So yeah, right now I'm curious, Tonyo, kasi we've been seeing I know this is not in your ano ha list ha, but I just wanna make chika with you about it. Like um, now on social media, because the elections are incoming, and I know, we're advocates in a way. I want to say that I'm not even sure if I'm using the word right, but I got a message from a friend. Sabi niya, I used the word apolitical wrong. Are you familiar with that word ba? Yung parang trying to stay neutral, but in a way, you cannot do that right now. Um, because we have opinions, it still aligns with politics in a way. Parang you still become political. Everything is political nowadays. Um, so yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts for the incoming election? And I think you're really the best person to ask about this. How do you see the landscape right now sa social and politics?
Well, elections are about choices, and it's our time to make decisions about the country, about the
True.
direction of the country. So before anything else, before we became bloggers or whatever, whichever profession, lawyer or teacher, or we are Filipinos first,
Oh,
and
I
we
love
have
that.
this, and as citizens, as Filipino citizens, we have this right to participate in the elections.
Right, right,
And as
right.
Filipinos, we have many concerns, we have many things that bother us or inspire us. We have our own ideas about how to improve our lives, our country, our city, our province. And this is the best time to speak about what we think is important. So I it's and I think our our communities expect bloggers, practitioners, and and those who are in our field, because we are considered thought leaders. We have our own unique vantage point about what's happening. We have
Right.
access to a whole lot of information,
Mm-hmm.
so we cannot afford not to share our views about what we
Agree.
think. It doesn't. We don't need to be partisan uh,
Mm.
immediately, but we can talk about the issues that we think should be part of the conversation.
Right.
So, for example, what's important to the people of Cebu?
Mm-hmm.
Who will talk about it? Who will spark the conversation? What kind of leaders do we need? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how to how to get past this pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure those are questions in the minds of people. So, bloggers, digital marketers, people in digital should not be afraid, but in fact be proud that people are asking their views because they
Really?
are valued by their
Mm.
communities. People
I
ask
know.
you that question because they have this expectation
Mm-hmm.
that you would offer insights on what's happening, about
Mm-hmm.
our problems, about our concerns. Uh,
Right.
and for sure, the digital community also would wish to have some things done, whether it's about the internet, about permits, about taxes, about stuff that
That matter to
involves
us,
government.
right?
Yes. You cannot escape government. You cannot escape taxation.
Mm-hmm.
Every transaction we have with clients, the government is there to collect taxes. We need to get permits, etc. So I think we have to realize that we are also citizens, and as citizens, we have that fabulous right that no one else has. No foreigner could interfere in our elections, could speak openly about our elections. Only Filipinos would speak about our elections because it's our government. So if you're a Filipino, regardless of your work, you have every right to speak out. But secondly, because digital would be playing a key role in the elections, because the pandemic has uh, is limiting the usual activities of politicians and put the political exercise. So the digital community would be doing a lot more than before. We've been preparing for this. We've been wanting this to happen. Now here it is. So what are we going to do about it? For example, will there be practitioners who would actively uh, solicit campaigns, pitch for campaigns of politicians? Uh, is that good or bad? I think it's good. Maybe what we all of us could talk about would be ethical guidelines.
Right.
Like example, should be ready to disclose our clients, should be ready to disclose the contract price, we should help tell the public that our client spending this gazillion pesos for these platforms, and then the candidate or the party should be able to disclose all the sources of those
Right.
funds. It's actually digital has this obligation to help the country explain what's happening. For example, I'm not sure if many of your listeners are familiar. Facebook since 2018, like 18, I think, has come out with 7 reports about coordinated
Mm.
inauthentic behavior, and they
Mm.
have disbanded like 5 or 6 networks comprising of millions of fake accounts.
Huh.
Now the question is, who are helping these entities do it? It is quite unbelievable that they could do it on their own,
Mm.
because the experts in digital are in the agencies, are in our space. So the digital advertising, the digital marketing efforts, they are there. We could see them. But for example, setting up these pages, buying pages,
Right. Yeah.
turning them into something else.
Yep. Yep. As soon as they
Uh,
grow. Mm-hmm.
yes, as soon as they grow. I don't find, honestly, I don't find anything wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a question of, okay, the owner would like to sell the page.
Mm-hmm.
There's a buyer. You just have to be transparent about it. Okay, this page has been sold. We're selling it. This price. This is the new owners. They are now in charge of this
Mm-hmm.
page.
Mm-hmm.
I think personally, that's okay. That's par for the course. I mean, we cannot stop that from happening. But the least that they could do is
Right. Tama.
to disclose that, okay, I'm the owner, and this agency talked with me representing one of their clients. They wanted to
Mm-hmm.
buy the page. Or example, there should be better rules on disclosures for bloggers, influencers, endorsers, ambassadors. If I believe that people should be free to endorse whoever they would like to endorse.
Mm-hmm.
We should be free to do that. But the moment that it becomes a commercial or business transaction involving politics,
Mm-hmm.
elections, they are instantly covered by election news, and they should be able to disclose what's happening. So
Mm.
the artist or the influencer, and then the agency and the client should all disclose what's happening. Uh, because
Transparency. Mm-mm.
without that, uh, they would all be destroying digital.
Right.
They would they would bring to digital the problem of legacy media. Remember, we hated legacy media for the payola, for content for
Mm.
sale. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's in the news that's not fed by PR.
Tama.
So in digital, whether it's we're in an election or not, I think we would be stronger, and we would get and maintain the trust of our audience if we are honest to them and transparent. So yung dalawa. So we are citizens, but at the same time, we would be active players in the election. I assure you, there would be at least one politician who would approach you, or one coalition or party.
It's starting. Yes, definitely.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. It's a business transaction. It's a business. They need help. They need advice. They need
Mm-hmm.
particular
Exactly.
services.
Mm-hmm.
You could be you are in a position to give it to them. So both of you would have, both the agency and the candidate should be transparent. Or being transparent, we help the entire country. Say absent yung transparency, uh, we would be fooling ourselves about the role of digital and the role of that politician. That was a missed opportunity by the campaign of the outgoing president, President
Mm-hmm.
Duterte.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm sure we have common friends who were involved in the Duterte campaign. And and I praised them in 2016 for doing a great job because the president won.
Stellar. Yep.
The president won. So I
Mm-hmm.
told our friends, congratulations. But at the same time, I asked them, maybe you could have a book. Maybe you could tell us what
What
exactly you did.
happened?
What happened?
Yes.
Who started this? How did
That
you
would be epic. Yes.
what
Mm-hmm.
how did you get these ideas going? Who are the influencers from the Visayas and the Mindanao? And
Mm-hmm.
Mindanao, who you tapped? Because that was one of the strong suits of the president. Metro Manila and Luzon, they were all depending on the national influencers
Mm-mm.
and the national media. But unknown to them, the Duterte campaign had their own influencers speaking in Bisaya, singing in Bisaya, producing content. So by the time Duterte substituted for the presidency in 2016, he already had a huge following. I'm sure you would remember all those events leading to the 2016 elections. But again, it's a missed opportunity for them to share with us the secrets to their success. That would have helped uh, a lot in understanding why 2016 happened, and at the same time teach digital marketing some lessons on politics.
That would have been crucial sana. A playbook on
Yeah.
how to we could probably have used that now in the incoming for the incoming elections. I agree with you. Yeah. These are going to be crazy times, Tonyo. But it's
Yes,
exciting because Filipinos love drama. Di ba? That's what they said.
and we are a big country. So 100 million
Filipinos.
drama-loving people. So let's see.
We will see, definitely. And yes, the agencies and us, practitioners, we have a role in the incoming election. And parang naano ko dun ha na we are, yes, we may be business owners, entrepreneurs, strategists, practitioners and all that, but we are Filipinos first. And parang, okay, that's that's burning right there. And I love that quote from you. So yeah, Tonyo, before we wrap up, leave us with just one parang final wicked thought that you can share. Because I know you shared a lot, but give me one final wicked thought that you can share.
We may be a big country, so diverse, so dynamic, a lot of differences. But I think in our daily lives, we share a lot more in common. The moment we change our mindset about ourselves and about our people, wherever they may live or be, I think that would mean a lot and that could redefine the elections. Because it's a very polarized time.
Yes.
People are always looking for differences. Um, you cannot, there would be, there would always be differences. But that's been the case since 2016. It hasn't worked as a mindset. It's depressing, it's
It
stressful
is.
finding differences, but it's always more beautiful to find common 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 things about us as a people. So like both of us, we didn't grow up together. A huge distance divides us, but we always find this common place, common ground called digital. We may not talk every day, but we always find this common ground that okay, digital is good. Digital could be a good business. It could be for free expression. It could help people in times of need. And that's what's important. I don't need to know if we have differences in favorite color, numbers sa electric fan, etc. I don't need to know who you voted for, if you vote at all. But, di ba, what's important is we find common ground. We share something together. So I hope that we get to do that in these elections.
Definitely. And that's a wonderful wicked thought right there. Tonyo Cruz, guys. Tonyo, before we end this episode, I want you to tell the listeners where to find you if they want to read more from you or talk to you or pick your brain about things related to social media. Where can they find you?
Flair, again, thank you for this invitation. I'm honored to be a guest in your podcast. Um, just follow me on Twitter. I'm most active on Twitter at Tonyo Cruz. And if I'm not on Twitter, I'm most probably on Clubhouse. So join us in Sari Sari Club. I use the same handle on Clubhouse. So we have a regular room every 10 p.m. every night. It's been happening since February until today. So see you on Twitter and on Clubhouse. And then every Saturday, my column comes out on the Manila Bulletin.
Guys, Tonyo Cruz, thank you.
Salamat, Claire.
And that was the latest episode from Wicked Thoughts. This season is sponsored by the company co-working space in Cebu and Content Dash, a simple and fast social media content planner. Sign up for a free account at www.content-dash.app. Tune in for more wicked conversations right here at Wicked Thoughts.